The year is 1995, March 18th, 1995 to be exact. Michael Jordan shocked the entire world. This moment would be one of the most famous returns in the history of the entire sports world, with two simple words: "I'm back." After spending a year playing minor league baseball, Jordan was, well, he wasn't very good, to say the least. While there have been conspiracy theories over the years about why Jordan retired in the first place, theories ranging from David Stern pressuring him to retire due to his gambling debts, or maybe his father was possibly killed because of Jordan's excessive gambling. Regardless, Jordan has said that he wanted to try out baseball because his late father always wanted him to be a baseball player. But by early 1995, he decided to call it quits and he was back in the NBA. However, it started off on a very rocky path, and in this video, I'm going to take a look at the truth surrounding MJ's first comeback season, and everything that led up to the Bulls' elimination in the 1995 playoffs. How's it going, folks? My name's Andy, and let's get started. Anyway, immediately after Jordan announced his return, he would put on a jersey and take the floor just one day later on March 19th. This game against the Indiana Pacers drew the highest ratings of any NBA game since 1975, cause as expected, everybody wanted to see him play in his first game back. While he drew a lot of cheers and a lot of boos as well since they were playing on the Pacers' home court, it was overall a mediocre performance by Jordan. He would score 19 points on 7 of 28 from the field. The thing is, before this game happened, nobody was anticipating Jordan to actually return this quickly. As I mentioned, he publicly announced his return just one day before he actually did. And if anything, there was more confusion than anticipation. Fans and reporters alike had no idea why he came back in the first place, or if it was a good idea to come back without getting into the groove of things. It was clear that he was quite rusty. It was speculated that the only reason he returned was because of a strike. The 1994-95 Major League Baseball strike began in August of 1994, and it would last all the way up until April of 1995. It was the longest strike in the history of Major League Baseball. Since MJ was in the minor leagues, he didn't want to be dragged up as a replacement player and deal with any of that nonsense. Jordan's agents, David Falk and Curtis Polk, were shocked just as much as anybody else. In regards to his comeback, Polk stated, "It wasn't really something I anticipated. If it wasn't for the baseball strike, I'm not sure if he would have come back at that time or ever. He was really enjoying himself. He really liked the camaraderie with the guys and the less fanfare around him, even though he wasn't anywhere as successful in baseball. But he's such a competitive guy that he wasn't going to quit for that reason, and he was working really hard to get his baseball game to the level of where his basketball game has been." Additionally, Polk added on that the struggles of MJ in his return had to do with training habits. He said, "We recognized that he had developed different muscles for baseball, slow twitch muscles versus fast twitch. He had bulked up in baseball, particularly in the upper body, and those are things that weren't necessarily compatible to him just stepping out quickly onto the basketball court." Essentially, Jordan was really unprepared for a return this quickly. From March until the end of the 1994-95 regular season, he would play in 17 games, averaging about 27 points a game, but on the lowest field goal percentage of his career. Fortunately, the Bulls were still winning. Donning the number 45 as his temporary number since 23 was now retired, Jordan immediately took over his team just like the good old days. In those 17 games he played in, the Bulls went 13-4 and made an aggressive push into the playoffs. In a time when other major sports leagues like the MLB having a massive strike and the NFL paying attention to O.J. Simpson and the trial of the century, the NBA was having a resurgence, and the return of MJ was something that the sports world desperately needed. Perhaps the hardest part of Jordan's return was getting used to his new teammates. In just over a year, the Bulls revamped their team and lost some players like Horace Grant and Bill Cartwright, and gained some new guys like Steve Kerr, Tony Kukoc, Ron Harper, and Luke Longley. All of them would be key contributors on the Bulls for the next 3 years. MJ had to get adjusted to playing with all of his new teammates. For him, he wanted to come back for the love of the game, and he truly missed playing basketball. For his new teammates, they looked up to him in awe, shocked that they're even standing in his presence. Luke Longley stated, "It took me a little while to not treat him like a rock star. I had Michael Jordan on my wall, but I tried to relate to him as a teammate. It was something that we all had to learn how to do, and Michael can be a bit abrasive. He's very confident." Additionally, the popularity of the Bulls skyrocketed once again. Tickets were being sold out almost immediately, the ratings were going through the roof, and every time he scored, the crowd cheered like he just made a game-winning shot. The excitement was unparalleled, something the NBA has never seen before. By the time the 1995 playoffs started, the expectations of Jordan and the Bulls were unclear. It was obvious that Jordan was not playing like his former self, and the Bulls were only the 5th seed in the conference. However, the first-round matchup against the Charlotte Hornets killed any notion of Jordan not playing up to par. This entire series showed that Jordan was just as good as he was before, as he would kick it off with a 48-point performance in his first game of the playoffs in his comeback. For the series, he would average over 32 points a game, 50% from the field, 47% from 3, and 2 steals. But moving on to the second round, the Chicago Bulls would face the first-seeded Orlando Magic, the breakout team of the year with all eyes on the young Shaquille O'Neal and Penny Hardaway. They were the favorites to reach the NBA Finals, not the Bulls. Unexpectedly, the storylines of this playoff series ran deep, not with Shaq and Penny, but with other players and Michael Jordan. Horace Grant used to be on the Bulls, and he was actually an All-Star in 1994 with the Bulls. But him and the organization had different opinions on his salary and his role. Ultimately, Grant would leave the Bulls in free agency and join Orlando. It was obvious throughout the league that he had a lot of disdain for how the Bulls treated him, and his relationship with Michael Jordan was rocky, to say the least. In this series, Grant would get his revenge, averaging 18 points, 11 rebounds on 65% from the field, as he absolutely destroyed the Bulls inside and out. While Shaq and Penny had good series, it was nothing too spectacular. And MJ played very well too, but it was Grant who was the game changer, the wild card who turned the series in Orlando's favor. When the Magic won the series 4-2, Grant talked about how satisfying it was to defeat the Bulls. He stated, "I felt 10 feet tall out there. It felt great to win here. I don't care tonight where we got it done, even if it was Siberia, but to have it done in Chicago does give me satisfaction." In fact, before Game 5, it was reported that Grant exchanged handshakes and hugs with Scottie Pippen and BJ Armstrong. But he made sure to slight Jordan. It wasn't only Grant either. Nick Anderson, the guy who's now famous for missing 4 straight free throws in the NBA Finals, he even said that, quote, "Number 45 is not number 23, referring to how Jordan looks nothing like his old self. And at the end of Game 1, he certainly had a point. Anderson even stole the ball from Jordan in the waning seconds, costing the Bulls a potential victory. After moving on to the NBA Finals, the Magic would get swept by the Houston Rockets. The Bulls' second-round loss was a devastating blow to Jordan's morale. Looking back in history, nobody really uses this 1995 playoff run as a way to knock down his legacy. But for Jordan himself, he took it very hard. In addition to the comments from Grant and Anderson, the entire media landscape was questioning if Jordan still had it. They really poured salt over his wounds. What's even worse is that there were legitimate questions surrounding the Bulls and if their team is capable of winning the title again. There was even drama surrounding Scottie Pippen, who was unsure of his place on the team, and he was pissed off the Bulls tried to trade him for Shawn Kemp over the offseason. Following the loss to Orlando, Scottie was caught saying, "If I could say right now, I'd say I won't be back. I want to stay, but I don't know." Of course, at the end of the day, the Bulls would stay together. Jordan spent the entire offseason working harder than ever, getting his body back into shape and craving to reclaim his throne. After acquiring Dennis Rodman, the Bulls were ready to shock the world once again, which they did. Throughout the years, many NBA fans have talked about Jordan's first comeback. Everyone knows about his first comeback and how he won 3 more championships afterwards. But not many people know about the intricacies of the 1994-95 Bulls. When it comes to the media and the attention, we've never seen anything like it. Combined with a lot of uncertainty of whether or not the team was staying together or whether or not Jordan was actually good enough to regain his form, it's a miracle that the Bulls continued their dominance. Anyway, that's all folks. That sums up the story of Jordan's first comeback in 1995. Let me know your thoughts about this season. Do you think it has any impact on MJ's legacy whatsoever? And do you think it should? Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and as always, I'll see you next time. Peace.